Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. It's, got some intense lighting in here, and that's because I forgot about daylight savings time. Or I suppose it's daylight saving time. I've been saying savings forever, and apparently I've been wrong. But the sun goes down earlier now, which means that my usual recording time, that I pretty much have set out every day, is too late in the day. I don't have the sunlight to properly light this area, so I'm going to have to start recording earlier or get some lights for my background. With that said, though, let's move on with this week's stuff. We're going to be checking out some more special selection this week. The request comes in from Mark Decken. He would like me to check out Lightbearer. And interestingly, just yesterday, he got in touch with me. He goes, wait. Can I change my request? So I said, sure. So we're still going to be checking out Lightbearer, but instead of Primum Movens, we're going to be checking out Prelapsus. So let's see what this track's all about. If I can figure out the right way to put my headphones on. All right, let's go. Lightbearer, Prelapsus. It's weird, we get these big explosions and I kind of expect it to stick and then it gets quiet. We get that single note, that "Bwah." Very heavy in atmosphere and a huge emphasis on the music over the vocals. Well, specifically the lyrics, I suppose. Not a lot of cymbal work either. Really low end in the drums. Lots of toms going on. There's interestingly a lack of rhythmic consistency in those eighth notes. There we go. Really enjoyed that vocal layering there. All right. So, a lot of that song is a sort of moving drone. There's a couple of notes that are held out for 4, sometimes even 7 bars before we shift, usually with a passing tone, to another note. With that, if we do like, if they held out the note for 7 bars, then the 8th bar would be a passing to introduce the next note that gets held on to for 4 to 7 bars technically. They do like to have those passing tones. So, because a lot of the song is built upon that concept, it's... How is this 2 songs in a row that pretty much are built on a single passage, and just kind of the rest of the band kind of expands upon that? I don't know, that's a weird coincidence, because Swan's Blind was kind of similar in its construction, where it has a single idea present throughout the entire song. So yeah, that's a cool coincidence. But anyways, though, the whole song is based around these 8th notes that are played for... They hold on to a note for quite some time. And pretty much the whole track is built around this single concept. And I'd almost say that a lot of the song is built around the same note progression. I would say a chord progression, but to me it sounds like most of the lead guitar work is playing a single note. There were a couple of times where I heard two tones, but I don't really think I heard three or more where I could actually call it a chord progression. But yeah, so like the whole song is built around this droning, this eighth note droning, and it puts you in a trance easy because there's nothing else to really latch on to. So you're either going to fall into the trance that they expect you to, which is, I believe, why the music was written, or you're going to get bored of it and check out, which is fine. You're not meeting the music on its own terms, but it's a valid response to music. There's some songs you just listen to and you just know that's not for me. You know, I'll find something else. I appreciate what you did, but I'm moving on. And I fell into that trance a couple of times, but it wasn't enough to really keep me interested for the whole song, especially since, like I said, the entire song seems to be built on this single idea. It isn't a sort of moving droning or a moving trance. It's kind of sits in the same pocket for 7 minutes straight. So it either grasps you or it doesn't. And you know, I guess it got me a couple times, but overall, I'd say it just wasn't really for me. But one thing that I do really enjoy is their ability to undermine my expectations. And I talk about this a lot. I like having the rug swept out from under me. It's the novelty of something new, something unexpected. These guys did it a couple of times. So yeah, I enjoy that. First of all, let's just go to that opening riff. I think, oh, you know what? There's actually two ideas, because the opening riff was its own idea, and then we went into the core idea that took over the majority of the song, which was those eighth notes. The beginning was interesting because we had these huge explosive sounds, held out, whole notes, two whole notes tied together, something like that. They were these really long held out notes. They really let them fade out on their own. And then when we would expect the next big explosion on like beat one of bar 3, if we had the explosion on bar 1, beat 1 of bar 1, you hold it out for 2 bars, and then on the downbeat of bar 3, you're really expecting that big explosion to come back, and you get this single note. And if that just does not defy expectations, I don't know. To me, it's still one of the weirdest things I've heard in quite some time, because even on like the third or fourth repetition of this concept, I was still really expecting that next explosion, and it just doesn't come. It's not a 2-bar phrase. It's more like a 4-bar phrase where you have the big explosion and then the tiny whisper, and it alternates between that. But for some reason, my brain was just never clicking in with that, and it was always expecting the constant explosions, because that's more of what we expect with that type of music. So yeah, that part was interesting. And then we get into the eighth note droning, and even when the band backs out and we kind of enter something a little bit more softer, a little bit more somber, that guitar is still playing those eighth note, the drone. But the interesting thing is, without the vocalist there or the drums there to kind of pull attention away, you're really listening into this drone. And the dude sits on these notes forever. I mean, it doesn't change. Like I said, I think it's like a 7-bar phrase, and then the 8th bar is a passing to go into the next note. But you're just listening to this dude play the same note like 16 times in a row. And you're just like, dude, change the note, man. Change the note. But then they start to build up, right? Boom, boom, boom. We're increasing the why can't I think of this? The notes are getting higher. All right, so instead of doing the same repetition every 8 bars, we're moving up a whole step or a third or whatever they were doing. And then more instruments are joining. We get the bass, we get the drum in there. The drum starts playing something pretty simple, and then a couple repetitions in, the drum starts getting more complex, and there's this constant buildup. And they did this buildup repetition like, I don't know, it felt like 10, 12 times easy. And every time when we were getting into higher repetitions, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I'm just like, okay, this is where the drop happens. This is where we're moving into the next sequence. The buildup is done. And that bar comes, beat one drops, and more buildup. And every time it came around, I was like, all right, here we go. More buildup. Oh, when's this tension going to get over with? So, yeah, that's just really, like I said, more of that expectation subversion. Just really wild stuff there. The last time I think my expectations were subverted would be when the cleans came in. And it's love-hate because I absolutely hate that they withheld such gorgeous vocals for an entire song. But at the same time, I have to give props for hanging on to them for so long, withholding that beauty to emphasize the contrast. It would not have been the same if they had peppered that in throughout the rest of the track. The fact that it came in at the very end was just this, it was like a little prize at the end, a present. You know, cake is delicious and it's super sweet at the end of the day, but if you're eating sweets all day long, it's just another sugar for you. So that's the thing, man. When you got something amazing like that, sometimes it pays off just to do it all the time and just be amazing. I mean, we have vocalists out there who do that. Not that long ago, we had, Michael Bublé, and everybody just loved his voice, and that was what he did all the time. That was his voice. That's just how he sang, and people loved it, and you couldn't ever get enough of it. But this is like the opposite of that, where you withhold it long enough to really emphasize its beauty against the dirtiness of the rest of the track, especially the dirtiness against the rest of the vocals that were present. So like I said, love-hate. I love what they did with it. Beautiful execution, but I really wish I had heard more of it. Yeah. The other vocals, the growls, I don't know. Maybe they were fries. I don't think it matters. I didn't dislike them, but they were also very low in the mix. And I kind of get that with this droning kind of music. You don't want to pull them too far, the listener too far out of the music. You want to kind of keep them in that sweet zone. So muting the vocals a little bit, hiding them a bit in there, helps emphasize the atmosphere over the lyrics, which I talked about a little bit when I was listening to it. And, it suits the purpose of the song, I think. Though I am very interested in what the lyrics are now, because the ending, when that guy's cleans came in, a couple of those notes really hit hard. There's a lot of sorrow and pain that I got out of that section, just that section. That the whole song is dirty and gritty and has this weightiness and emptiness at the same time. Like it's a empty kind of weight, which doesn't make any sense. An emptiness would be a lack of matter, and a lack of matter is a lack of weight. But I don't know if that. I hope that analogy makes sense. An empty weightiness is kind of what I get from a lot of this. And I don't know. There's something real sad, real punchy in that in the cleans there before the screams came in. But yeah. I'm a little interested in what the lyrics are now, given the emotional ride that I kind of went on. But yes, really good stuff. Lightbringer, Prelapsus. I don't know what the other song would have been. Well, I know the name of it. I just don't know how it would have been compared to this. But I am absolutely 100% glad that I got to check out Prelapsus, because this is just... It's not my type of music. It's got that drony grittiness of like post-rock, post-metal, that kind of stuff we checked out a couple months back. And, 2 weeks post-rock and post-metal back-to-back, and I kind of expressed that it really wasn't my jam, but I'm getting into this one. And a lot of that I think is due to the ending. I wasn't really engaged with the song much until those cleans came in, and it sucked me right in, and it made me interested, kind of made me intrigued about the beginning. So now I'm like, oh, I need to go back and listen to it again. Not necessarily because I enjoyed the music more, but because I'm more interested in what the music has to say with the lyrics and the atmosphere, and kind of taking it all in as a whole rather than focusing, getting a laser focus on the music itself. So yeah, fantastic choice. I'm really glad we got to check this one out. You guys can hit me up in the comments though. Let me know what you thought. It is getting very dark in here. This daylight saving time is garbage. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this track and any adjacent tracks I should be checking out from Lightbearer. This was a ride, and I dug it. You can also check out the description for blocked videos. You can check out the description for the Patreon if you want to join that. Vote on future themes and bands, as well as join the Discord community. That's all there for just $1 a month. Pretty good deal, I think. And there's some buttons over there, like, subscribe, and a bell to ring if you want notifications to know when I put my stuff out. All three of those things will help you, and they help out the channel too. YouTube does a lot of stuff with metrics and algorithms and stuff, and that's one of the things they look at. So it can help out the channel if you can push all three. That's fantastic. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, with more special selections. Until then, you guys stay safe out there. Keep being awesome, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.